Recently, the JCCI hosted a business delegation from the island of St Helena. Hailed as the world's newest destination, the island is in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean, and now Johannesburg is linked to the lovely island by a weekly flight that replaces a 5-day sea voyage between the island and Cape Town. Key stakeholders from the island were present at the business gathering at the offices of the JCCI to present various key opportunities for business-minded people with an interest of growing their footprint on the island. Well, we got ahead of the pack and invited the Honourable Lawson Henry to chat to us more about the island and its economy in our studio. Lawson, welcome to the city of Johannesburg, all the way from the beautiful island of St Helena. It's wonderful to have you with us. Johannesburg is that city that is known as the springboard to Africa. But what attracts you in particular to Johannesburg?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come to the studio and talk about the beautiful island of St Helena. So it started a very, very long time ago. An airport in St Helena has been talked about for at least 70 years, and last October saw the first commercial flight landed on St Helena. And although we've always been very close to Africa, we are now just 4.5 hours away from Joburg. Joburg has been chosen as the hub for our contracted commercial air service. So we're here with a group of business people from St Helena to explore, if you like, Joburg, because it's the hub of our air service, and we would like to have a good relationship, look for businesses opportunities,
Sure.
And vice versa. And hopefully in going forward, help us to grow our tiny fledgling economy.
Sure. Very exciting times for this little island, and 70 years is a long time to wait for an airport.
It is indeed a long time.
But here you are, looking for investment opportunities, looking to explore opportunities globally. Give us a snapshot of the economy of St Helena currently.
So, as I say, it's a small island, 47 square miles. It's a British overseas territory, and St Helena is one of 3 overseas territories that is still in granting aid. So the huge investment that the British government done in the airport is to try to give us probably the only opportunity to grow our economy. Mm-hmm. Saints, as we like to refer ourselves to, have risen to that challenge. People have started new businesses to fit in with a tourist-driven economy. And if I can just say, that it is not an island with white sandy beaches. It's going to be very niche tourism, specialist tourism, if you like. We are very steep in history. We've had some very famous people there. Most notably, we had Napoleon. He was exiled there. He died there. So that's a big part of our history. We've had some prisoners from this country. Dennis Zulu, Boer prisoners, was held there. But we also have had some other famous visitors like Halley, during the years. So that's the kind of tourism that we're hoping to attract to St Helena. Niche tourism. It's just been discovered that whale sharks come to the island for a couple of months in the year. Mm-hmm. We've established a relationship with the Georgia Aquarium in America, and they're doing a study on them. They've been tagged, and it looks like they come to St Helena to mate. So that's been a huge international attraction. So businesses is opening to provide whale watching. You know, it's absolutely fantastic. We got beautiful seas around the island, unpolluted. It's great for diving. It's fantastic for water sports. And as I say, steep in history and culture. So it's the place to people who would want to come for that kind of niche tourism.
Sounds absolutely fascinating. I'm already sold on coming to St Helena for a holiday, and I'm sure the more people hear about it in Johannesburg, they will come to the island. It's only 4.5 hours away from the island by flight. But give us a sense of the infrastructure, the current tourism infrastructure available in terms of hotels, leisure resorts, etc. Can you have a cheap holiday on the island?
It's never going to be cheap, I'm afraid, because of its sheer isolation. And one of the reasons being, everything we need have to be imported into St Helena. In terms of the airport and the costs of the flights, for instance, the biggest challenge we got is we have to import fuel. Freight rates is very high, so we couldn't compete with Joburg for the sale of fuel. So that is one of the biggest components of fixing the price. But when the British government decided in 2011 that they were really going to make that huge investment in the airport, £285 million. We agreed with them that we would open up the island to some form of investment. Unfortunately, the timing of the announcement of building up the airport, the whole world was, if you remember, recovering from a huge financial crisis.
Yeah.
We couldn't attract any inward investors because we needed hotels there. So we as a government, we took the plunge ourselves. So we converted some of our very old Georgian buildings, retaining all its features, into a 4-star hotel. And we have Mantis from here, who has been given a contract to operate it. So our first hotel as a result of the airport is Mantis St Helena, but we have other local hotels there also, and lots of people saw opportunities in doing bed and breakfast hotels, you know. So, but there is still an opportunity if we want to increase the tourism for an investor, either from the island or from overseas. They'd be welcome because we need more accommodation than what we got already.
I'm sure those hotels have a lot of character.
They certainly are, especially the ones that is situated in the island's capital, which is Jamestown, situated between two huge cliffs. So yes, they are all Georgian buildings. Yeah. So
finally, you have an airport. You're on your way to growing the economy, but what are your plans to maximize air benefits? So the first thing is we are in the transitional period now. We've had 500 years of access by sea alone. Cape Town has been part of that history because our ship operated out of Cape Town. So as I said, during this transitional period now, we are just building our markets. We have one flight a week operated by SA Airlink from Joburg. The RMS St Helena, which is the name of our ship, is actually just gone offline. She might still be in Cape Town now, hopefully waiting to be sold. So from here on in now, the only access to the island now is by air. So we hope now that this will start to, you know, the numbers will start to build. But we also recognize that one flight a week is not going to grow our economy enough to get us off granting aid from the British government. So we've been holding talks with the British government because we believe now that the ship has gone offline, now is the time for them to support us and announce that we should have a second flight a week. And once that has been agreed, we hope to operate a midweek flight, again using our SA Airlink. So those who want to travel for a week
or just a short weekend, we'll be able to do that. But look, also, although we have that contract with SA Link, we do operate an open skies policy. So, you know, anybody can fly into St Helena. I must say, however, for your listeners, or especially the aviation industry, it is a Category C airport, so it has its challenges, but
sure.
It's very safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, here you are in Johannesburg, and you've partnered with the Johannesburg Chamber of Commerce and Industry to assist you with your collaborative efforts. Which other sectors in your economy you want to focus on to build, to create jobs, and to improve on your GDP?
So, first of all, within the group that we brought to us here, we have our CEO from our only bank. We brought somebody who is just starting farming in polytunnels.
Mm-hmm.
So she have had an opportunity to visit a huge farm here in Johannesburg. Having said that, we did a visit some years ago with about 10 farmers to Johannesburg to look at polytunnels. But also, generally, we're looking for contacts, suppliers of goods. We got some merchants with us who be looking how we can create those kind of businesses. And generally, to look at any form of niche investment. Like I mentioned when we talked about, you know, the whale sharks before, there is huge opportunity there for water sports on St Helena. There is opportunities for investment in holiday homes.
Mm-hmm.
Bearing in mind the island is small, so there will be limited amount of land, but we will need some form of investment to get us to the maximum of what the island could actually take in terms of tourism. So we are looking to generate tourism probably in the first 3 to 5 years up to about 5,000 a year. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Usually when you tap into an investor market, the concerns usually are around regulation.
Sure.
How investor friendly are you as a nation?
St Helena is, as I said, is just a small island. We have a government, elected government, which is elected every 4 years. We have a general election. We just had a general election in July last year. So we are very stable. We are crime-free. The government, as I said, 12 is elected, and the 12 then elect 5 to serve in the cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
The cabinet is presided over by the governor. The governor is appointed by Her Majesty the Queen, and she holds office. She got executive authority on behalf of the British government because we're still an overseas territory. But, you know, as a small island, you know, we're open, you know, and it's very easy to be able to start up a business once you get, you know, agreement or approval for land rights. It's fairly simple.
Are you allowed to buy land?
So you have to have a license, and as I mentioned, and I'll emphasize this again, land is limited. But, you know, if the investment fits the portfolio of how we want to develop the island,
sure,
there will be land made available.
Because from what I understand, most islands tend to lease land for investment purposes.
Absolutely,
as opposed to selling
that's
land.
another thing, yeah. And also the government own lots of buildings. I mentioned before, we converted 3 of those Georgian buildings into a 4-star hotel.
Mm-hmm.
There are other complexes there that an investor could do likewise.
Sure.
And we would give a very long-term lease just to retain the ownership on the island. And when I say long term, like 100 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be plenty of time to get the investment back. Yeah.
You said something that I just want to touch on quickly. You said you are a crime-free nation. Now that's like music to my ears, especially when you live in cities. Crime is a concern, and it stresses people out
Sure.
as well. Please expand on what you mean when you say you are crime-free.
So We have a prison, and it's probably full to its maximum now. And when I say it's maximum, it probably can hold about 12 people, 14 the most. But you can't compare crime to what you could do in a place like us here. So most of our crime, it would be like petty crime, petty theft, the odd drink drive, the odd assault. We went through a phase where we had some quite serious sexual offences, but we're past that now. We've put in plenty of policies that would stop those sort of issues from happening in the future, but it is a safe place. The biggest thing about St Helena for me, I brought up a family there, is about your internal security, you know. You can go away and leave your house open. The police won't like me saying that, but it is relatively safe.
Yeah.
You know, the children, you know, they go out to play. You know, you don't have that worry. So it is the sheer tranquility, I think, of being able to live on a small island like that and bring a family up, you know. Yeah.
It's very inspiring. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been insightful. And we wish you a profitable trip in Johannesburg.
And thank you again for giving us the opportunity of talking to the people of Johannesburg.